I wasn't looking to change my life that day. I just wanted lunch and maybe 5 minutes without the world kicking me in the teeth. But fate doesn't check your schedule. It grabs you by the collar, shoves you into traffic, and dares you to survive. Looking back now, I can tell you the exact moment everything started. And it wasn't what you'd expect. I wasn't trying to be a hero. It was just instinct. Dumb, gut-punched instinct. 1 second, I was staring at a hot dog stand debating if I had enough quarters for lunch, and the next, I saw a woman scream. Not the movie kind. The real kind is sharp, ragged, soul-deep. People turned, but nobody moved. Not really. That's the thing about cities. We hear everything, but do nothing. I'd have been the same if the scream hadn't come from right next to me. There was a man, wild-eyed, dirty denim jacket, holding a knife, not huge, but sharp enough to change someone's day for the worse. He was yelling something about his meds, his life, the sky. Didn't make sense. Then I saw the other guy. Old man, well-dressed, gray suit, blue scarf, the kind of polished confidence you don't usually see outside of courtrooms and luxury car commercials. He'd been bumped into wrong place, wrong time. Now the wild guy had a blade pressed to his ribs. And I just moved. Don't ask me why. I'm not brave. I flinch at horror movies and once screamed when I stepped on a Lego. But something took over. Maybe it was the way the man didn't fight. Just stood there, silent, like he was already gone. Maybe I couldn't take it. I rushed in, grabbed the guy's arm. Got cut. Doesn't matter. What mattered was that the blade clattered to the sidewalk and the man in the suit stumbled backward, breathing like someone had given him a second life. Crowd surged in after that. Police showed. Flashing lights, shouts, questions. I disappeared. Not because I was scared. Because I didn't want attention. I'm nobody. Just a delivery guy with busted sneakers and a side hustle fixing bikes that no one pays on time for. I didn't need to explain myself. I figured the guy was safe. That was enough. But fate? Fate's got a weird sense of humor. 2 days later, a man showed up at my apartment. Not my landlord, though that would have been a logical guess, considering how overdue I was on rent. This guy wore a dark coat, slick shoes, and a watch that probably cost more than my car if I had a car. He knocked once, sharp and certain. "You Dylan?" he asked. I hesitated. Who's asking? He reached into his coat, slow, deliberate, and pulled out a small white envelope. No markings, just my name scrawled in fancy cursive. "Mr. Granger sends his regards," he said. "Said you saved his life?" I opened the envelope. Inside was a business card, thick as cardboard stock. Gold foil letters. Henry Granger. Private equity aviation horses. And below it, "I owe you one. Call me." I blinked. This real? The guy in the coat just smiled. Call him. He left. I stood there, envelope in hand, wondering if someone was playing a joke. I hadn't even seen the guy's face clearly in the chaos. I sure as hell didn't expect a thank you note, much less one that looked like it had been printed at Buckingham Palace. Still, curiosity got the better of me. I called. Granger's voice was smooth, calm, like whiskey aged on purpose. He didn't waste time. "You saved my life. That matters to me." "I just grabbed a guy," I said, downplaying it. "You didn't run. That's rarer than you think." A pause. "I want to offer you something. Come see me. Tomorrow. 11. Bring your gut instinct. You'll need it." He gave me an address that nearly short-circuited my brain. 5th Avenue. A penthouse. I hung up in a daze, staring at the phone like it might change into something sensible. I didn't sleep that night. 5th Avenue doesn't feel like it belongs to people like me. It's a different world up there. The air smells cleaner. The sidewalks don't crack under your shoes. People carry themselves like the pavement was laid just for them. I showed up early, of course. Rode the subway in clothes I ironed 3 times and still looked wrinkled. My knuckles were bandaged from the scuffle, cheap gauze, but enough to hide the worst of it. The doorman gave me a look. You know the one, like I was lost or about to ask for change. But he checked the list, saw the name, and let me through. The elevator was gold-trimmed and silent. My heart wasn't. I stepped into Granger's penthouse like I was walking into a dream someone forgot to finish. Polished floors. Art that probably had names. Floor-to-ceiling windows that opened into the sky. It didn't smell like money. It smelled like power. And there he was, sitting in a high-backed leather chair, sipping something from a glass too small for ice. "Glad you came," he said, standing. I expected him to be taller. That sounds stupid, but you imagine billionaires as giants, right? He wasn't. Average height. Silver hair. Crisp clothes. But his presence? Heavy. Like a man who'd learned to bend rooms around him. "You Dylan?" he asked, offering a hand. I nodded and shook it. "You've got good instincts. Most people freeze or run. You moved." "I didn't think," I said. "Exactly. That's what I like." He waved me to his seat. A woman brought coffee without being asked. She didn't speak. Didn't need to. Just vanished again. Ghost service. "I made my first million building things," he said. "Real things. Timber. Concrete. Airports. Now I mostly move paper and pretend it matters." I didn't know what to say to that, so I sipped my coffee and tried to act like I'd done this before. "You have a dream?" he asked suddenly. It caught me off guard. "What?" "A dream. An old one. Something you buried." I hesitated. "Yeah. I used to want to open a motorcycle garage. Real one. Vintage rebuilds. Coffee in the front, grease in the back." He smiled like he already knew. "You still want it?" I blinked. "What?" "I'm offering you a deal, Dylan. One time. No pitch. No trick. Just a chance." He stood, walked to a shelf, pulled down a manila envelope, and dropped it on the table between us. Inside? A property deed. A business license application. A check. $75,000. My mouth dried up. "This is insane," I said. He nodded. "Good insane. But here's the hook. You take this. You owe me. Not money. Not interest. Just one favor. Someday. No warning. No refusal." I stared at the check. My name already written. The zeros looked like lies. "You could have just sent a fruit basket," I muttered. He chuckled. "Fruit goes bad. Dreams don't." I didn't answer right away, because somewhere in the back of my mind, I heard a door creaking open, and part of me was terrified of what might be on the other side. But I said it anyway. "I'm in." He stood, smiled, and shook my hand again. "You'll do fine." And just like that, the man whose life I accidentally saved had just handed me the beginning of mine. The garage didn't look like much at first. It was an old tire shop on the edge of the industrial district, half-rusted awning, broken sign, weeds growing like ambition through the cracks. But when I stepped inside, I could see it. Not what it was, what it could be. Granger's guy met me there the next morning. Said his name was Randall, wore sunglasses even in the shade, and handed me a folder with everything prepped, permits, utilities, even a branded email. My name was on the lease. Just like that, I was legit. And terrified. Because the second you get what you want, your excuses disappear. No more blaming the system or the city or bad luck. Now it was me. Just me. I cleaned for 3 days straight. Scrubbed grease from the floors, patched holes in the drywall. Bought a coffee pot from a thrift store and dragged in a busted bench press to serve as a couch. Everything smelled like possibility and a little like mold. First project? A '73 Bonneville I found rotting behind a scrapyard. Paid $100 and a six-pack for it. She was junk, but beautiful junk. Her chrome was pitted, her tires were toast, and her engine sounded like a blender filled with screws. But I loved her. Every night I worked late, hands black with oil, listening to the echo of jazz through the rafters and thinking maybe, just maybe, I'd finally outrun the version of me that always needed rescuing. And then, 3 weeks in, Granger called. No hello. Just, "I need you to come to an address. Bring a wrench. Don't ask questions." I almost laughed. "Seriously. Favorite time," he said. "I wouldn't call unless it mattered." Then he hung up. The address led to a neighborhood with gates so tall they blocked the sky. Houses here didn't have mailboxes, they had private couriers. The kind of wealth that didn't talk, didn't show off, just was. Granger met me on the front lawn of a house that looked like it could host an award show. He wore a suit, no tie, and it looked like he hadn't slept. "Come on," he said. Inside, the place was too clean, too still, like someone had pressed pause. And in the living room, on a tarp-covered rug, sat a motorcycle. A Harley. Old. Beaten. Gorgeous. "I need you to fix it," he said. "Right now. Tonight." I glanced around. "Why is it in the middle of your house?" He stared at it like it was a corpse. "It was my son's." The silence hit like thunder. "I didn't know you had a son," I said, softly. "You weren't supposed to." He walked to the window. "He died 3 years ago. OD. Heroin. No one knew. Not the papers, not the partners. Just me. And this bike." I didn't know what to say. He turned, slower now. Older. Tomorrow would have been his birthday. He used to ride it every year. Said it made him feel like he was going somewhere, even when he wasn't. I walked toward the bike. It was rough. Dust caked the seat, the tires were flat, and the fuel lines were dry as bone. This'll take a while. I've got bourbon and time. So we stayed up. Me, wrenching in silence. Him, sipping in it. And around 3 a.m., the engine finally coughed to life. Not strong, but alive. He closed his eyes, just for a second, then nodded. Thank you. I cleaned my hands, unsure of what I'd just done. It's a good machine, I said. It just needed someone to believe it still had a future. Granger didn't answer. But the look in his eyes? That was the first time I saw him as something more than money. That was the first time I saw his wounds. Things changed after that night. He started calling more. Not for favors. For talks. Advice. Updates. Tell me about your Bonneville, he'd ask. Or got any customers yet? Like he cared. He sent people my way. Quiet types. Old vets. Grease monkeys. Rich kids with trust funds and no tools. Said I was the best garage in the city, even though I barely had a sign out front. The shop picked up. I hired a kid, Luis. Sharp hands, sharper tongue. Taught him how to find compression leaks by ear. Paid him cash. He called me boss in a way that didn't make me flinch. For the first time in my life, I felt built. Not broken. Then came the night someone broke in. I knew something was wrong before I even got out of the truck. It was the way the light spilled from the garage door, crooked, like it had been pried open and never put back. The silence was too thick. Not peaceful, expectant. Like the building was holding its breath. I stepped inside. Glass everywhere. Tools scattered. My Bonneville knocked off its stand, gas dripping from the tank like blood. The register had been yanked from the counter and smashed. The fridge was open, even the stale coffee filters gone. And in the middle of it all, spray paint. Big, sloppy letters across the back wall. You owe him now. I stood there for what felt like an hour. Not angry. Not yet. Just cold. Because whoever did this, they weren't after cash. They wanted to send a message. I called Granger. No answer. I tried Randall. Straight to voicemail. That's when the fear set in. This wasn't some random smash and grab. This was targeted. Personal. And the only person I knew who trafficked in debts and secrets like currency was the man who handed me a future. I closed the shop early. Boarded up the windows with what I could find. Told Luis to take a few days off, paid him anyway, told him it was repairs, not get the hell out before you get hurt. He nodded once, didn't ask questions. That's when I knew I could trust him. Then I sat, alone in the dark, with a wrench in one hand and a million thoughts in the other. And just after midnight, someone knocked. Once. Twice. 3 times. I didn't move. Then a voice. Doors unlocked. Dylan. I knew that voice. It was Granger. He stepped inside like a shadow wrapped in regret. He looked like hell, tie crooked, blood on his collar, knuckles bruised. They found you, he said. I figured that out, I muttered. He walked past the wreckage, pausing only to write the Bonneville. I never meant to drag you into this. Too late. He nodded, sat on the stool beside my bench. I used to run things clean. Real investments. Rail, timber, aviation. But then I got greedy. Bought into a mining deal in Carson Valley. Didn't know it was tied to, well, let's just say the kind of men who don't take no for an answer. I watched him closely. You still tied to them? No. But I owe them. He pulled something from his coat. A small black case. Inside, papers, a burner phone, a key card. You need to go, he said. There's a storage unit on the outskirts of Ash Hollow. Unit 6B. Inside is everything. Records. Statements. Ledgers they don't want public. And you're giving this to me? His eyes met mine. Because I trust you. That hit harder than I expected. Why me? I asked. He stood. Because you didn't want anything when you saved me. That kind of man's rare. He paused at the door. They'll come back. And next time, it won't be a warning. Then he vanished into the night. And left me holding the weight of someone else's war. I didn't sleep. By dawn, I was on the road. Storage unit was 30 miles out, hidden behind a truck yard and a billboard that read, God sees all, in peeling paint. The key card worked. Unit 6B opened with a creak and a breath of dust. Inside, steel file cabinets, sealed boxes, a gas-powered generator, and an old stool in the middle like someone used to sit and guard the truth. I opened one drawer at random. Invoices. Tied to shell companies I'd never heard of. Mining operations in countries I couldn't pronounce. Wire transfers with too many zeros and too few explanations. This was big. Too big. And suddenly the heat on my neck wasn't just paranoia anymore. It was a man, standing in the unit's shadow. gun tucked under his coat. You Dylan. I didn't answer. Didn't have to. He already knew. The man didn't draw the gun right away. He didn't need to. His presence did all the talking. Square shoulders. Military boots. Eyes like dead water. No ripple. No bottom. The kind of guy who doesn't blink unless someone tells him to. I kept my hands where he could see them. One on the edge of the filing cabinet. The other hovering near my side. Not reaching. Just reminding myself I was still capable of movement if this turned ugly. Nice place, he said, glancing around the unit. For a grave. Granger sent me, I said. I know. That didn't help. He stepped inside. Slow. Measured. Like a man used to walking on pressure plates. You've got something that doesn't belong to you, he said. No. I've got something someone wanted out of the wrong hands. Same difference, he replied, and finally moved his coat just enough to let me see the weapon. Glock. Custom grip. Suppressor. Clean, professional, quiet. I raised my voice slightly. So what? This is a warning. Or am I already dead? He shrugged. Depends how smart you are. There was a long beat. Then I said, if you kill me, the files get released. I was bluffing, but I said it like it was a damn oath. And something in his eyes flickered. Not fear. Just calculation. That's the game now, he asked. Threats and drama? No, I said. That's survival. We stood in silence. Finally, he stepped back. I'm not here to kill you. Not yet. Nice of you. I'm here to offer you a choice. Now that was new. You walk away, he continued. Right now. You give up whatever loyalty you think you owe that old bastard, and you disappear. We'll even pay you for your trouble. And if I say no? He smiled for the first time. Cold and teethless. The next time we meet, you won't see me coming. He turned. Left the unit like he'd just told me my own expiration date. I locked the files back up, heart pounding so hard it felt like it might crack my ribs from the inside. But I knew what I had to do. I couldn't run. Not now. That night, I drove the Bonneville. Didn't care that the headlight flickered. Didn't care that my hands were shaking on the grips. I just needed to move. To feel something under me that wasn't crumbling. I ended up back at the shop. It was dark, boarded, silent. Until I saw the light inside. Luis. He was back, against orders. Grease on his face, sleeves rolled, working on a busted Honda CB. I stepped in startled. What the hell are you doing here? I asked. He looked up, calm. You said to fix the brake line before the weekend. I also said take the week off. He shrugged. Didn't feel right. This place needs someone watching it. I stared at him. This kid, barely 20, standing in the middle of chaos, acting like the only sane person in the world. You don't scare easy, I muttered. Nope, he said. You do, though. That shut me up. He stood, wiped his hands, and walked over. You're in deep, right? He asked. Whatever this is, it's not about bikes. No, I said. It's not. Then maybe stop trying to carry it by yourself. I blinked. Thought you were just here for cash, I said. He smiled. I was. Then you gave me tools. Now I've got something to lose. That hit hard. Because so did I. By morning, I had a plan. Granger's files needed to be seen, but not by the news. Too slow. Too filtered. I called someone I hadn't spoken to in 3 years, Ava Whitlock, an ex-client from my courier days who worked as a forensic accountant and hated corruption like most people hate poison. We met in a diner outside the city. Vinyl booths, watery coffee, waitresses who remembered your order before you spoke. I handed her a flash drive. She plugged it into her laptop and started reading. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. She didn't say a word. Finally, she looked up. This is a kill switch, she said. Yeah, I whispered. And I need it flipped. Ava didn't hesitate. She leaned back in the booth, fingers steepled under her chin, eyes scanning the diner like she could already feel the shadows watching. Where did you get this? She asked. Off the record, I said. She gave me a look, half impressed, half pissed, but nodded. There are names in here that don't just sit on boards, Dylan. These people write policy. They finance wars. And you've got emails. Timestamps. Internal comms with attached bank trails going straight to blacklisted contractors in 3 countries. I figured it was bad, I muttered. This is biblical, she replied. She sipped her coffee and went quiet. Finally, she said, I'll need a day. Maybe 2. If I can verify 3 of these wire transfers, I'll have enough to trigger an internal review at the Treasury. Quietly. But once I move, there's no calling it back. I'm not trying to call it back. You should know, she said, lowering her voice. These people play chess with blood. If you're on the board, you're a threat. And threats don't retire. They disappear. I didn't respond. Because deep down, I already knew. I walked out of that diner into a world I didn't quite recognize. My phone buzzed before I even made it to the truck. Blocked number. I answered. Dylan, said a voice I hadn't heard in days, rasped, broken. It was Granger. They found me, he said. I'm in the wind. But I wanted to say, thank you. For what? For doing what I never had the stomach to finish. There was a silence on the line. The kind that tastes like goodbye. They'll come for you now, he added. Be smarter than I was. Click. Gone. That night, I didn't go home. I stayed in the shop. Luis showed up again, like gravity had pulled him there. He brought beer and chips. Didn't say much. Just turned the radio on, low, and started working on the Bonneville like we weren't sitting in a loaded minefield. Around midnight, I showed him the flash drive. Told him everything. He didn't blink. You think they'll come here? He asked. They'll come somewhere. He stood, walked to the door, and flipped the sign from closed to come and get it. Next morning, Ava called. We've got traction, she said. Files verified. Treasury opened a quiet probe. I handed everything off anonymously. You're out of it. I don't think I am, I said. No, you're not, she replied. 2 of my sources disappeared last night. Just gone. Where? She exhaled. Where do you think? I felt something crawl down my spine. She continued. I'm getting on a plane. You should vanish. I can't. Dylan, I've got a kid working here who believes in me. A shop with my name on it. And a man who died trying to fix what he broke. I'm not running. Another pause. Then, quietly, then don't die for nothing. They came that night. 2 cars. Tinted windows. No plates. I killed the lights in the shop and waited. Luis was upstairs. I told him to stay down, lock the office, and not come out unless the building burned. He refused. I've got your back, he said. I didn't argue. Just handed him the bat we used for scrap metal and prayed it didn't come to that. The first man through the door didn't knock. Just shoulder-checked it open and stepped in like he owned my air. I recognized him. Same deadwater eyes. Same quiet menace. You had your chance, he said. And you had yours, I replied. Then I flipped the switch. Hidden camera, set up the day before, wired to a live feed Ava had given me. Recording everything. Streaming it to 3 separate clouds. He didn't react. Just blinked once. You think that'll stop us? I think it'll slow you down. He pulled his coat back. No gun this time. But the threat was obvious. You don't walk away from this. Maybe not, I said. But if I go down, so does your secret. His jaw tightened. You're a mechanic. A ghost. Nobody will care. Then why are you here? That landed. He turned without a word. Left as quietly as he'd come. By morning, the drive had been wiped from the cloud. But not before Ava backed it up and sent it to a contact at a federal office she refused to name. Within 48 hours, Granger's name hit the news. Not for scandal. For whistleblowing. The files were tied to him. The statements, too. But not my face. Not my name. Just his. He'd made himself the firewall. One final favor. They never came back. Not directly. No bullets. No men in suits. Just silence. And if you've ever been hunted, you know, silence is scarier than noise. It doesn't confirm anything. It just waits. Watches. Lets you wonder if the next knock will be the last one you hear. But it never came. Instead, a letter showed up. No return address. Just my name on the front, written in careful, deliberate script. Inside, a single line on thick stock paper. You stepped off the curb. You can't go back to the sidewalk. I burned it. Didn't show Luis. Didn't tell Ava. Just dropped the ashes in the old oil drum behind the shop and let them drift up like ghosts that finally decided to leave me be. Granger was declared missing. Not dead. Just gone. The media circled for a week. Headlines, speculation, profiles that made him sound like a maverick saint. No one knew the real man. No one but me. They said he had regrets. They were right. They said he was dangerous. Also true. But they didn't say what mattered most. That somewhere between his sins and his secrets, he gave me a second shot at a life that had already turned to rust. He paid in full. And then some. The garage didn't just survive. It became something. People started showing up, not because of Granger, but because of stories. Word of mouth. Riders from 3 counties out, just to have us look at their old Triumphs and dusty cafe racers. We didn't advertise. Didn't need to. I never changed the name. Just kept it simple. Dylan's. That was enough. We rebuilt bikes. We brewed terrible coffee. We patched up more than just engines. Guys came in with busted tailpipes and walked out with a little less weight on their shoulders. That was the point. It wasn't about machines. It was about motion. About moving forward. One rainy afternoon, Ava came by. First time in person since it all went down. She stood at the counter, sipping coffee that made her wince, and said, "You ever think about leaving?" "All the time," I said. "But this place needs someone who knows what broken feels like." She smiled. Then, like it was nothing, she slid a manila folder across the counter. "Opportunity," she said. Inside, documents, specs, blueprints. A second location. Warehouse space across the state. Cheap, quiet, full of potential. "I figured if you were going to be a mechanic with a cause," she added, "you might as well scale it." I stared at the folder. "You'd help me build it?" "No," she said. "You'll build it. I'll make sure nobody tears it down." Luis walked in just then, grease up to his elbows. "What's this?" he asked. I looked up at him. Future. That night, after they left, I sat in the office. Same beat-up chair. Same cracked floor. Only now, there was something under my skin that hadn't been there before. Peace. Not the quiet kind. Not the boring kind. The earned kind. The kind that comes after surviving something bigger than yourself and choosing not to run. I opened the bottom drawer, pulled out the old notebook Granger gave me. Pages worn. Corners curled. Flipped to the first page. My handwriting still there. A name worth knowing. I smiled. Not because I'd made it, but because now I finally knew what it meant. Not fame. Not money. Legacy. And if that meant one rebuilt bike, one honest job, one kid who stayed out of trouble because I handed him a socket wrench instead of a lecture, then yeah, Granger was right. Dreams don't come easy. But when they're built, brick by broken brick, they hold. Even when the world tries to tear them down.